if you understand the science of BPC, thymosin beta, DSIP, whatever, it's great. Good for you. You understand what it can do. You don't understand on the back end of it. It's like an operating system.
Right.
It's great that I have Angry Birds and I can play it, but the amount of information that goes on the back end
crazy.
to make that, operational is mind-blowing. So the fact that you come in, you've never seen a fucking patient once in your life. You've never sat there and watched somebody die on the OR bed or in the ER or gone through training and actually dealt with people with diabetes. You're sitting there like, oh, Brian Johnson said this, and look at him, he's $2 million a year. Who the fuck has $2 million a year to spend?
Welcome everyone to a very special episode of Wellness at the Speed of Light. We are here in the Move Studios in Miami, and I am joined by a great doctor, somebody who's become a friend. I was just on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, just chopping it up. And this is one of the most interesting physicians that I've ever met in my life. When we first met at a recent speaking engagement, I had him have the floor. I said, just keep talking. Just tell me some more of that stuff. I just want to pick this guy's brain because, as you know, we love interesting people right here on the show. So I wanted to bring in Dr. Ivan himself onto the program, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one.
We're going to have some fun. We might laugh. We might cry.
We might
pee a little. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But we have stuff if you're peeing and you're not trying to pee. So there's all kinds of things that we can do for you and tighten up those those pelvic muscles. That's what we do because we both love integrative medicine and integrative health. But so before we get into some really fun stuff, because we're going to dive down some places where some people will be uncomfortable, and that's fine because they shouldn't be, because it's called being humans, and humans want to know how to maximize their life. And so like just being like, oh, I don't want to talk about this topic or I don't want to talk about that topic. I struggled with it myself. I shared that with you. It's like when I first went down the avenue of integrative health and people were asking me all these questions about like their sexual health and all these things, I'm turning, I have plenty of melanin in my skin, but boy, I could still turn red. I don't have quite enough that you can't tell that I'm turning red, but now I don't have that anymore. Now people ask me a question and I'm off to the races, or I say, as my buddy Ivan would say, have you watched this famous lecture? We'll get into that in a little bit. So before we get into all that, I just want to set the stage. One of the things that we really share in common is that we believe that the current medical system, as it's structured, is not in the best interest of the patient. I think we both agree as physicians that if you have a serious medical problem, if you have a heart attack, we don't send you to go get red light therapy and stem cells. All right, we can agree, right?
Some influencers might. I mean, who knows the way it goes this day?
Oh, those guys are.
My goodness.
Those guys are nuts, man. Those guys are crazy. That's a whole other podcast. Yeah, it absolutely is, and they're all over the place. They're all over the place, and it's crazy. We'll get there, but we both agree. Yes, there's absolutely a place for Western medicine. But so what are people missing? Like why is it so difficult for people to understand that there is so much outside of what they are being offered in the traditional doctors, offices? Why are they missing it?
Good point. And I think people fail to realize that medicine is a business. So when you go to the doctor, it's that doctor's trying to make ends meet at the end of the day, especially in traditional medicine. So the aspect is when a patient walks into a doctor, it's almost like a factory type setup. Billing, insurance, big pharma, you kind of go through this whole conveyor belt of just complete bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's just get in, get out. There's 70, 80 patients a day. Keep going.
It's a mill. It's 100%
really what it is.
Yes.
Basically a pill mill, if you take a look at the amount of prescriptions versus what actually goes on with that. And I think a lot of patients forget the aspect is, your health is your responsibility. Nothing's for free in life. I don't give a shit who you are. You know what I mean? And the aspect is, once you start taking your health into your own hands, sky's the limit. I mean, I have 60-year-olds who look better than 30-year-olds right now because they want to. Not because they come in and I give them some magic potion, even though we got some crazy cool magic potions, but you need to have that manifestation, that energy, that focus, that drive to actually want to get better and understand that you have to do it. GLP-1s, I think, were one of the best things and worst things to happen in medicine. Because all of a sudden it's like, I can take whatever the fuck I want. You know what I mean? And it's
100%.
Like, I'll eat this, I'll eat whatever. And now you have people with gastroparesis, diabetic issues, all kinds of other things because they think it's a magic bullet. It's not. If you do a GLP-1 correctly, fascinating. Decrease inflammation, help you manage sugar if you need to. lose that little bit of extra weight. I get it. You know what I mean? It's a crutch. It's not your wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, you still need to do some effort for that. And I think a lot of patients forget that, you know, health is not a right. Healthcare is not a right. You know what I mean? Like, it's a privilege that you afford yourself. And I think a lot of things start with lifestyle medicine, which is hydration, nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, and sleep. Those are 5 things that are free. You know what I mean? Like, you can come in, I can tell you what to do, but you have to go home and do it yourself.
You got it. You have to do it.
100%. I mean, look at you. I mean, you're in phenomenal shape, right? Is that from a peptide? No. You know what I mean? Like, they may have helped here and there, but the aspect is you put the time in the gym, you put the nutrition, you put the hydration, the sleep, and the stress reduction into it. And a lot of patients, especially in the wellness industry, are seeing this like, BPC 157, I'm going to heal, do it. The fuck, like, you're not. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're not. You are not going to. We're not going to fix you with BPC 157. It's. I tell people that stuff is like at the margins. I believe in these things, but it is just an enhancement of icing on the cake. I love that, you know, icing on the cake. You know, it's interesting is that you mentioned the 60-year-olds that are, you know, have these like low metabolic ages, right? And that's really important. We can talk about labs because I know you're a lab maniac, as am I,
yes,
because
I am.
without data, we're not treating anything.
Picture the puzzle.
And that's what people are not understanding, and that's why I'm so concerned with people managing their own health. And again, obviously, you know, what we always get as physicians when we start saying these things, oh, you just guys want business, you don't want it, because then the influencer's like, oh, you don't need the doctors, you can just do all these peptide stacks on your own. People have no idea what they're doing. They're on all kinds of medications. That's when the training in physiology and biochemistry and pharmacology, and they people don't understand like systems.
The science that goes into it.
But also they don't know what happens in the, you know what it's akin to? It's like in surgery, I have a lot of people in the room helping me. And one of those people are the vendors, right, for the screws that I put in.
Of course.
I'm not going to ask them, oh, hey, this patient's blood pressure is low. What should we do next? What should I and the anesthesiologist, what's our checklist? They have no idea. And I think that is happening right now in the wellness industry where there's a lot of people. Yes, people can go and say, oh, my God, this is great. Stem cells, people are just promoting anything. They don't even know, like half of the time, they don't even know what they're promoting. Exactly. Some of them are good. Like, don't get me wrong. There are some influencers, they're dialed in. They know their stuff. I've talked to them and they like know it. But a lot of them are acting like, you know, they might be selling us, you know, these microphones. They're the microphone company, but they don't know how a studio works or how to use the stuff. What do you say about that? Because I'm worried that they're putting people down the wrong, you know, path. And I know you kind of, you know, mentioned that before, and I'm going to go back to my thought on the metabolic, you know, age thing. But what do you think about that? Like, why is it so bothersome to people like me and you that you see these people out here and they're very convincing and they're
enthusiastic, you know what I mean?
And you can see their videos get a lot more views than our videos do, and we're pouring our heart and soul into trying to educate people, but then yet, you know, like some rando, right, that hasn't studied. Like, I mean, I'm not picking. I love people.
I mean, like, you have to pick on it. I mean, like, let's cut the bullshit here. This is wellness, is speed of light. Not this, you know, the PR aspect here. It's bullshit.
I love this guy. I love this guy. He makes me come out of my shell even more.
What I can't stand about the aspect is, like, yes, if you understand the science of BPC, thymosin beta, DSIP, whatever it is, great, good for you. Understand what it can do. You don't understand on the back end of it. It's like an operating system.
Right.
It's great that I have Angry Birds and I can play it, but the amount of information that goes on the back end
crazy.
To make that, you know, operational. It's mind-blowing. So the fact that you come in, you've never seen a fucking patient once in your life. You've never sat there and watched somebody die on the OR bed or in the ER, or gone through training and actually dealt with people with diabetes. You're sitting there like, oh, Brian Johnson said this, and look at him, he's $2 million a year. Who the fuck has $2 million a year to spend on all this nonsense?
Or on his $1 million membership, you know, his new membership thing, which is that one that pissed me off. You know what's funny? I liked Brian Johnson, and I'm clearly not going to get an interview with him after this podcast, which is fine because it's too.
Dracula,
but it's also too complicated because it's like his regimen. No one's doing that. I don't even.
And it doesn't work. If he gave him before he went on it, he looked better before he looks like a ghoul. I mean, again, no offense. I mean, it is what it is. But again, like, there's so much disinformation.
Well, he ain't coming on our show. I could tell you that.
I don't want him on my show. I mean, if he wants to debate, I'm happy to do it.
Let's do it.
But I'm going to give
three-way
him credit.
debate.
I'm giving him credit because he does spread awareness. Okay?
Yes.
So people sit there and be
100%.
like, wow, what is this science? I don't really want to look like him or change plasma with my son and all this other weird stuff that he does. But the aspect is at least he's bringing awareness to it.
Yeah.
Everybody, the Gary Breckas, the doctor, I mean, everybody else who's these influencers, I mean, so many of them now, you can't even count. They're at least bringing awareness
They
to
sure
it. You know
are.
what I mean?
They
like,
sure are.
Call me son of a bitch, but call me. You know what I mean? Like, at least they're going through and doing it. But the problem is, this is where it comes to the patient. If you want to sit there and follow the Pied Piper of Netflix documentaries down that rabbit hole, your fault. All right? We saw that with COVID. Correct? How many people are like, oh, Dr. So-and-so. Now look at this. Dr. Fauci's probably the biggest war criminal since Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say that again. Horrible situation, how he managed not only AIDS, but then COVID.
I would encourage people, again, like, you know, I try to be, I'm a little bit, I try to be a little bit more moderate than you, but I would encourage people to read The Real Dr. Fauci, and they will be beyond shocked. You read that, and then you can decide what you think, you know, about what he's done. And
exactly, and that's why I say, if you're going to follow somebody, look at their personal life, look at how they look. You present as you should. You know what I mean? Like, you're a
right back at you, doctor.
But again, like, you can't take weight loss advice from a fat doctor. You cannot. Correct? So the aspect is, you better damn well portray what you're trying to sell in this industry. A lot of the influencers do. Some don't. I mean,
not everybody. Not everybody. And again, we're not. I was just careful. It's not like we're not trying to pick on them. We're trying to help them. We're trying to help them. You're just saying things that are self. I mean, these principles we hold to be self-evident.
Do your research if you're a patient. That's all I got to sit there and say.
Correct.
Like, cranberry juice isn't going to cure cancer. You know what I mean? Like, your diet, your exercise, your nutrition, your hydration, your sleep, and your stress reduction will. Everything else that you put on the top of it, FOXO4, DRI, all this other different peptides and stuff.
At the margins. It's at the margin. They're at the margin.
Correct. If the cake's bunk, the entire treatment's bunk. So again, the aspect is they're pitching all these things, but they're not talking about the actual root cause of what the problem is for the person. That's great if you're in good health and you want to have better hair, skin, nails, or sex. Fantastic. The majority of the population in the United States sees that, and they're overweight. They have diabetes. They got mercury in their mouth from fillings.
That's the least of their problems.
Teach them how to actually diet properly.
Correct.
You aren't going to get money off of it. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make money off of a diet really anymore. You know what I mean? There's so much information. That's why you don't hear them talk about that much. But take this pro enzyme and take this. And teach a man to fish. Don't just give him fish for $29.99 a month. You know what I mean? Like, when that's where I get into such, you know, not arguments with some patients, but it's just like, if you want to listen to Joe Rogan, then go have Joe Rogan be your doctor. You know what I mean? Like, love Joe Rogan. Great guy. You know what I mean? Like,
he's brought a ton of awareness.
Which I love.
I can't even tell you how many of our regenerative medicine patients, it's because they saw it on Joe Rogan and they're just interested.
Awareness to the industry.
100%, but they're not going. You're absolutely right. They're not going to Joe Rogan to have their stem cells injected, right? They're coming to our clinic to do it,
PRP,
right?
and all that kind of stuff. That stuff does nothing if your body's not ready. If your IGF is off, your testosterone, your thyroid, your adrenals, you're just putting expensive, you know, juice on a blender that's never going to work. You know what I mean? Like,
you need an entire, you know, optimization program around all those things and pre-treatment. They don't, you know, like, people absolutely, you know, don't know. I just want to go back real quick before we just start, you know, going down a lot of different paths. You mentioned the 60-year-olds being like 30-year-olds. My concern is the 30-year-olds
looking like 60.
Looking like 60-year-olds. I have people, and I know you do this. There's no way you don't do it. And tell me,
probably guilty. I'm not gonna lie.
Guilty. You look how many times do you look at the paper when they come in and you notice they're born in the same year as you, and all you're thinking is like, what
I look like this?
What happened?
Exactly.
Like, what is happening here?
Stress,
like,
man.
old. People are old. I'm 52 years old. I have 52-year-olds. They are old people. They're elderly.
And
they're elderly. When they go to the movie theater,
right?
They're just like, oh no, that's fine. You know, like $3.
Yeah.
Come right on, and free
Early bird
popcorn.
special,
And
you
free
know what I mean?
popcorn.
Like,
Absolutely. So, like, what do you tell these people? Like, why can't people connect? You talk about lifestyle. Why can't they connect their lifestyle choices with what they look like? It's like I'm the fights that I have with people in the office it's crazy because they're like, no, it's not that. It's the excuses are coming out and this and that. I'm like, let me stop you. What you've done in the last 20 years, and now it's this. And I do it. I mean, I'm not mean. I do it very nice, and actually people appreciate it. And you know, no one, like, I've never had a complaint against it. I'm just like, tell them. And there's a lot of tears. We always have the tissues going because then people start, like, they don't want to even think about where they are. And they are there. So how do we get these 30-year-olds that look like they're 60? And again, we're being not most 30-year-olds, maybe they look like they're 50, and a lot of them actually look like they're 50.
Well, this day and age, that's even worse. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many There's so much availability of information, which is number
It's
one.
so bad.
Peptides, hormones, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like you said, the fringe. I love that.
Icing on the cake.
Information with AI right now. This is the problem. This is like before AI takes over Skynet. This is a unique opportunity where we can learn about anything at a second. It's fascinating if you use AI to actually benefit your life and actually how you do it.
Fascinating.
Everybody's in there right now is like, where's the best place to eat? Or all this nonsensical stuff. Or like, how do I lose? Oh, it's like, well, your diet. Like, I don't want to learn about diet. GLP-1s, talk to me. It's just like I said, nothing.
Shortcut.
Is
They're
free.
always looking for
Shortcut,
the
convenience. Look at what Uber, Amazon, Instacart, all these kinds of these major conglomerates is why? Because it's convenience. Everything's convenience. You know what I mean? Like
which is actually ruining us as a species.
We're making us stupid. This is the first year the IQs have gone down.
You know, it's
we are getting dumber as a species.
I posted this neuroscientist talking about that, and holy smokes, it was like it got millions of views.
Yeah.
That's and because people realize that, but then you know what most of the responses were? Well, what are they going to do about it? That's nice, but we brought all this technology, and now what do we do? Now what do we do?
Now get off your phone. That's the biggest thing.
It's time to go analog. We need to go.
Is the true
we
pandemic.
need to go back analog. How do you get your patients though? This is what I'm saying. Like, how do we get people to realize en masse? You're absolutely right. There's more tools for them. They could do all kinds of stuff. But how do we get them to realize? How do we get them out of their brainwashing, which is their corporate overlords, which are brainwashing? It's just true. And I don't mean to be, I'm not, this isn't even hyperbole. This is like real stuff. There's a book by Robert Lustig. It's called The Hacking of the American Mind. It's amazing. This guy's a physician, and he's like, the hacking of the American mind. And it's basically how corporations have taken over the American mind. And we've turned into Wall-E, which we can talk about that movie, one of the great, Wall-E.
That's us in 20 years.
That is, yeah, you're 20. Oh my God. We're in a bad way. Anyway, how do you connect the dots for people when they're just pushing back, when they're making excuses and doing all this stuff?
I tell everybody age is a decision. Age and disease is a decision this day and age, okay? Because you have so many options to get through it. And I think nobody has goals anymore. When I turned 22, and again, I still have it and I do it every year. I have 3 lists: skill, milestone, and adventure. Top 10 things to do, and I'm talking extravagant, weird shit like travel the world, go play with orangutans, get high five a gorilla.
And this guy means that I've seen the videos with you with the freaking silverback gorillas as they're trying to attack you people that you're taking on some safari. I was like, who does this?
Well, see,
like, what am I doing with my life?
Everybody wants to do that, but nobody has the drive to do it. It's the
Correct.
same thing with health. If you're getting healthy just to get healthy, it's masturbation. It's exactly what it is. It's fun, but it's not fun. You know what I mean? Like you need to have a goal at the end of the day. I'm going to get healthy to run a marathon. I'm going to get healthy so I can climb Kilimanjaro. I'm going to get healthy so I can literally travel around. I'm going to get healthy so I can get out of my wheelchair. Small goals turn into big goals, turn into gigantic milestones. You know what I mean? Like, so I think we as a society is so driven off of living everybody else's life off of Instagram and whatever else, TikTok and all. I mean, I have Instagram.
All of them.
I'm getting old here.
All of them. All those things.
Is, like, you should be your own hero. And I tell all my patients, when you come into my
100%.
office, if you look at my social media, you wouldn't not even know from my personal that I'm actually a physician. But you'll suddenly be like, whatever this guy's doing, it's working because he's doing this. He's in Bahrain doing this. He's in Uganda doing this. He's in Norway.
Things are going well. Things are going well.
But again, physically, mentally, and emotionally, I'm the happiest. Every time you see me, it's the best day of my life. And that's how I live it every time.
And that's
I'm
amazing.
The happiest thing. And again, I strive for that. Even if I have a shitty day, be like, okay, I learned it from this one. I'm going to learn French now. Or just something crazy in the way.
You reframe because you're reframing.
Exactly,
That's a mindset. I mean, you have an amazing.
They've shown your neuroplasticity will actually redistribute itself based off of how you're feeling and how you actually want to portray yourself in the world. If you're Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, woe is me, and this happened again, you're always gonna have a shitty life.
Which is half the American population.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
Thing. So I'm saying the American people need motivation. They need something beyond just saying like, oh, our heroes are these actors or these athletes who are half the time worst people on the personal end that you could ever possibly believe on.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They need to find heroes, and the first hero you should be is yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I had to bury my hero 3 years ago, my father.
Yeah.
He was my hero, and the second he died, I became my own hero from there on out, being like, he taught me everything he could, and now I got to sit there and be like, again, like, if you saw what I'm doing this year alone, my April, I'll be in Abu Dhabi, I'll be in Borneo with orangutans, I'll be in Komodo dragon doing all kinds of weird shit, I'll be on Summit at Seas, I'll be speaking at the A4.
Just make sure you have my right email address, so all the invitations are, they go in the right box. I don't want to make sure they don't go to spam, just okay, because I'm ready. I'm ready for the orangutans and whatever else, whatever other crazy stuff that we're doing.
It makes life fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't. I mean, again, I'm talking because we're in the sexiest city in the world, right? And again, everybody's walking around, looks like
this
us.
is this is an amazing
Yeah,
city.
you walk around,
I'm in
tens on every corner. You're
I'm in
like,
Minneapolis.
whoa.
I'm going to go with that's
Yeah,
not exactly what we're
but
dealing with.
The majority of the population isn't Miami. So, I mean, for them to sit there and be like, oh, a six-pack is like the holy grail. Down here is like, you have an eight-pack? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, so the aspect is, I think people need to reframe their mind and not have goals of finances or owning a car or whatever. It's just like, I want to be healthy when I'm 50.
And that has to be first principle. End of story.
If you don't have that, it's because I'm one of the most expensive doctors you ever find. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason for that. Because patients who come to me, if you pay $150 for a membership at a gym a month and you miss one day, I missed a day, I'm paying for this membership, I'm going to spend $10,000 a month or whatever it could be. You're like, maybe I shouldn't have that croissant. Maybe I should go out and do my exercise.
Maybe I should follow the program.
There's that Pavlov's dog type experience, you know what I mean? And once you get into that, you're just like, you feel so much better. It reverberates throughout how you work. You make more money because now you're motivated to work. You can concentrate. You have more creativity. You can sit there and pick up your kids. You can run with your granddaughter. Whatever age you are, it doesn't matter. My youngest patient is 12. My oldest patient is 95. I treat them pretty much the exact same. You know what I mean? Mine is a little bit different access as I have to
Just
deal with.
like that's my practice
never
too.
Treat
It's crazy.
somebody with a chronic disease. And our biggest thing, we treat cancer, autoimmune, neurodegeneration. Like every cancer patient we treat, like you got cancer to finally get healthy again. All right, cancer is a symptom. I think it's one of the more basic things to treat. Diet, quit feeding it. You know what I mean? Reduce the stress. That's what cancer lives on.
And and it's just not because, you're saying it, because of course, when people see this stuff, they're like, oh, especially our colleagues. Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. Cancer, not to to cut you off, but right, like literally right. Like cancer is almost like it has a black box warning for physicians to be able to give their opinions on it if it doesn't fit the traditional industry model. Like if it's not like what pharma wants you to say, and I get it, there are some innovative stuff happening with CAR T therapies, and there's all kinds of new molecules coming down the road, and people should absolutely explore it. They should get a lot of different opinions. What the literature right now is really strong on the dieting stuff and the lifestyle stuff with cancer. It's there. It's not there, but yet if you say it, people are like, oh yeah, here comes a longevity doc. Exactly. Talking about cancer. Because I know a lot of longevity guys that are treating cancers with all kinds of different methods. And having good results by it, but yet they get crucified for even speaking about it, which is interesting to me.
The wellness industry really popped off. I'd said first it came out with Obamacare. It's always funny to sit there and see when you start taking money away from physicians, they pivot, right? Obamacare caps you out what you can make. All of a sudden, like, maybe testosterone therapy isn't so bad as a head urologist. I'll go open up a testosterone clinic now.
That has definitely happened.
Last year you told me it was horrible. Yeah, but I can make money off it now, and I can't make this. So Obamacare went like this. COVID, boom, run.
That was the change.
Hit, it really was. To sit there and see like now, wellness industry is now too big to fail. 7.86 trillion in 2026. How gigantic is that worldwide? They're expecting to grow to over 10 by 2030. It's insane, you know what I mean? Like how fast this trajectory is going,
but rightfully so. Again, because without that, with all the stuff that we have available for people to do, why would you not want to do that? I mean, you start with the basics, but then with the add-on stuff, you really can. You can really slow down your biological aging so dramatically.
And to speak on cancer, like you were talking about,
absolutely.
If you're in an industry, how long has cancer been treated for?
How long?
Decades.
You
how
mean
many
long?
cures do we have?
There's your answer.
Maybe we pivot.
The good news is, well, there's the surgical ones at least you get. Those are cured, but you're talking about the other state. You're absolutely right.
It went into regression, but you have to now deal with this the rest of your life.
Exactly, exactly right. Starve the thing.
In big pharma, how many diseases have they cured? Out of all the trillions and trillions of quadrillions now since they've been open. None, maybe
we're
one,
hoping.
Two. You know what I mean? For have that much things.
Chronic disease is hard because, like you said, it's a symptom.
It is.
It is.
That's what cancer is. I've had cancer maybe 10,000 times today. Correct? And then what happens? My
clearance.
Genes go through. Oh, mismatch. Fix it and move on. Why? My immune system's good. I'm healthy. I'm not eating sugar.
And you're turning on the right epigenetics.
Exactly.
You're turning on the right
everything.
genes.
I don't care if you have a BRCA gene or you have this gene or this gene is predisposing to cancer. Big fucking deal. You can't change it. Until CRISPR becomes legal and it's not a war crime anymore, quit worrying about your genetics. It's what you do to influence your genetics. Epigenetics. It's fucking common sense. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have every single oncologist, that and the other, who hates this industry. They're like, no, chemotherapy, this, that, and the other. You're killing 20 billion cells. I'm sorry, you're killing 100 trillion cells to go after 20 billion cells. Let's kind of repackage that. Maybe we try to make our body, which is built to actually deal with this on its own, healthier. You know, it's baffling that, you know, people want to keep going to the same well. Einstein, if you repeat the exact same action and expect a different response, it's basically insanity.
Which
you know
is
what I mean?
what we are going back, you know,
It's
like
traditional medicine.
listen, you hit it right on, and again, we're gonna go. This is a loop, so we can get stuck. Let's not get, you know, we can get stuck in this Groundhog Day.
Yep.
But again, this is my contention. People always ask me, the number one question they ask me, obviously I'm a spine surgeon that went into integrative health, right? And I do both now. But I love integrative health, and the you know, the transformational stories that we've seen by taking all these tools, you know, is amazing. So my question, I'm gonna go back to that same thing. Why are people so brainwashed? They keep doing the same stuff. They're getting sicker and sicker. That's why I went into that area.
Yep.
Because all I saw was people getting worse, and they keep going back. And they swear, this time it's going to work. This time it's going to work. This time it's going to work. You've been doing that for 15 years, ma'am. You're sicker than I've ever seen you. You've aged at a speed that is like, I'm like, you're breaking records in how fast you're aging. How, you know, like, and again, you don't see as much as that because you've been treated, like when they come into you, you're already putting them on that right course. For me, they might be seeing me for like a spine thing, and now I know them for 15 years. Eventually, now I pivot them.
Audible.
Yeah, now I call, I'm like, and so, you know, I apologize to them sometimes. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was in my ignorant phase. That's what I call it in my book. It's my ignorant phase. So then I pivot them over into some of these other things. Now, if I had them 15 years earlier, it's better. But it is a crazy thing that people keep going back to the same well. The intensity of the brainwashing it's so bad. So what would you say to your fellow physicians that are skeptical about everything we're talking about now, as they're already writing comments as they're watching this and the thing, just saying, "Oh, these two are a couple of gems we got going on here." Like, why? Who's letting these guys? I'm like, you have no idea. Like, what would you say to them? How do we get our colleagues? Because again, we're not trying to like. So I go into integrative health. It's not like I'm the only guy you should see. Don't go anywhere else. I'm the only guy. I'm your guide. Everyone else sucks. No, we want our colleagues to be doing the same things because the science is beautiful.
It's a community.
It's beautiful what we can do, you know, with the body. So what do you say to our fellow?
First and foremost, the third leading cause of death in the United States is your research. Literally, medical error is the third leading cause of death in the United States. So therefore, if you want to say our aspect is not research based, I'm glad it's not research based because your research kills more people than fucking diabetes. You know what I mean? Like, so the aspect is maybe you should sit there and kind of look at what you're studying and look at the common sense aspects of it, okay? If you don't want to sit there as a cardiologist and worry about somebody's diet, quit. If you want to be a pulmonologist and not worry about somebody's, quit. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I can't agree with you more. I think
I
can't agree with you more.
Lifestyle medicine, and then everything goes through with it. Hydration, exercise, nutrition, stress reduction, and sleep. The 5 pillars of any type of actual program should start with those. And again, those are free things that no physicians are trained. I spent 30 minutes in medical school on what? Nutrition. I spent 3 weeks on Crestor and Lipitor and all those other nonsense, which cholesterol medications I think is the biggest scam out there. That's a whole other thing.
That's for a different
thing. But again, when you look at the common sense basis of how medicine works, look beyond just what big pharma gives you. Look at the science. Look at the biochem. Not many people understand what a mitochondria is, where it came from, how it works. Mitochondria is
my favorite topic. You just went to my favorite topic. I think we covered.
How about the sodium-potassium pump?
They're beautiful.
Nobody understands. You are literally a battery. Every cell in your body is a battery.
We are just a battery. That's our tagline, recharging the human battery. There you go.
You learn about that in the first couple days of medical school, and then you just forget it and worry about how do I treat the upper downstream aspect of it. Look at the root cause. It's not a hard thing. I mean, like that's why we treat fitness, fat loss, sex, energy, and then we treat cancer, autoimmune disease, Parkinson's disease, dementia, same fucking way. The exact same way. Look at all of the diagnostics, figure out what's stressing them, whether it's heavy metal, hidden pathogen, nutrition deficiencies, whatever it could be. Fix the stressors, and then all of a sudden now this body has all this energy to sit there and be like, let's fix cancer. Let's do this. Let's do that. It's common sense, you know.
I mean, if you're doing all these things to begin with, like you said, right? We're killing cancer cells as we sit here. Our body's going crazy. We've been around for this version of us has been around for 300,000 years. We're still here.
Exactly.
If we couldn't fight these things, we'd be gone. Yay! Thank God. Thank you. And it's true. So we are able to surveil. We're able to do those things. If you're living the lifestyle correctly. Right, and then you're adding on all these add-ons that we do for people. You're much less likely to go down there. Much less. Your genes are not going to turn on. Your inflammation's going to be down. And the big one that you mentioned before, which it's crazy, mitochondrial health is the key to everything.
Cellular health.
That electron transport chain is literally everything. That's everything. That's the whole thing. It's the most beautiful structure. Then you got your ATP synthase spinning around. If that motor stops spinning, we'll see you later.
Cell dies, you move
We're
on.
done.
And then you get cancer. You know what I
right,
mean?
we're done.
Everybody's so worried now. It's funny. I have a clinic in Bahrain, and they're so worried about NAD. NAD is going to cause cancer. It's just like, okay, so we look at the biochem of it. Yes, NAD does what? It speeds up the processing of sugar and energy. Okay, great. How many cancer cells do you have versus how many healthy cells in your body?
That's exactly right.
Quadrillion difference. You know what I mean? Like, so the whole aspect of being like, if you're worried about this, what about the water you're drinking? You came in with uranium in your urine. You know what I mean? Like, you came in with diabetes times 10, but you're worried about taking something that might actually fix your cellular therapy. I think cellular energy and senolytic cells are the two things that are the root cause of everything. So that's why we sit there, and in my practice, I look on senolytics and actual cellular therapy. NAD, everybody forgets about FADH2. It's a little brother, man. Riboflavin. All you do is give them riboflavin, you amped it up like you can't believe. Then you use things like SS31, methylene blue to perfect how it works. But I can't use any of those, tools and tricks that we have if they're dehydrated, if they are in some type of excessive, all kinds of processed foods and sugar. All that mitochondria is working on getting rid of nonsensical bullshit that you built up in your life. Let's fix that. So now the mitochondria focuses on hair, skin, fitness, fat loss, energy, whatever it could be. You need to clear that stuff out, but nothing. And the reason my practice is called lifestyle medicine. Again, I have lifestyle medicine Instagram. I got that 16 years ago when nobody even knew about it. You know what I mean?
Awesome, by the way.
That's the crazy thing.
Crazy.
And now there's a lifestyle clinic everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, which is awesome. But a lot of the time, it's just prepackaged, nonsensical factory bullshit. Come in, one diet fits all. One diet does not fit all. Exercise. Do this exercise.
There's a lot of hammers out there, and everybody's a nail. No, it's customization. I literally, when I do, like, in my, very similar, and we've shared this stuff, like, very similar. If I'm going to take on, kind of like a private patient, it's a different, right, in the integrative health world. But if I'm going to manage somebody over a year, let's say they sign up and they say, I want to do this for a year. Everybody's plan is totally different. It's based on your labs. Do you have toxins in your? Do we need to detox? Do we need to do this? Do we need to do? Where are you functioning? What's your high sensitivity CRP? All these different things, and that's a huge marker. And it's just so much different, and I think that so many doctors are missing the boat on making such big differences in their patients' practice. Now, you mentioned before, I don't want to spend too much time because we can only convince, right? You can only bring a horse to water. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's a whole other.
My patients, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You can only do what you can do, and people have to understand this is a really sensitive topic with our industry now jumping in. It's really sensitive to people. So we have these tools, we have these modalities, and we know, right? You've been doing it for longer than I have, but now having done it for a while, seeing the transformation in people's lives is the most phenomenal thing that I've ever seen.
That's why I went to medical school.
I've never seen, absolutely. Yeah. I have seen people come into our clinics, they're so damn ill. And I mean ill. They don't need to be admitted to the ICU, but they're sick. They're sickly.
You can almost smell it on them.
And then you absolutely. And then 3 months later, they're a different person. And then now they're like, oh my, what else can we add on, doctor? What plans can I do? Now they're like, now they're going and seeing if they can see
you're in. You know what I mean?
Where's your buddy? Let's go to see the orangutans because I can actually function.
It works, man.
I can stay awake. I don't need to take a nap every day because I'm so sick that I'm just going around. They want to get their info.
A lot of people run scared because of their health, and living in fear is you sacrifice
that's
humanity
a whole,
when you do that.
But that also impacts your mitochondrial health and inflammation.
You live in fear about it. When you realize your health, you can take control of.
Vicious cycle.
Dude, you take the power back, and that's when you feel like you wake up and you have power over your health. That's better than any religion, any gospel, any scripture you could do. It's your own aspect of being like,
be CEO of your own health, man.
I'm in control of myself. A lot. I would say probably 90% of the population doesn't have that. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. They wake up, they're like, am I going to have a heart attack today? Is my sugar right? Is my blood pressure? Because they've been pushed into this thing being like, you can only get healthy if you rely on medicine. Right. Which is the biggest nonsensical bullshit.
I'm going to have to.
You are your own doctor.
100%.
That's it. You start there. And that's why I said, you asked me earlier, and I didn't answer. I didn't answer because we got off track. The biggest problem I see with patients is they're fucking lazy. And I'll say it again. They are lazy. They don't want to sit there and say, this is my job. Health is my responsibility first. My doctor's my
Get your sovereignty back. Get your sovereignty back, guys.
Yes, 100%. This, that, and the other. Put the effort into it. It's better than be on your phone and doing this or the other and go watch whatever all the bullshit.
Whatever they're doing. I mean, most of the time we say it's just a complete waste of this, the beautiful life that we've been given. Back to what I was saying before, the sensitive topic, the elephant in the room. There's a lot of elephants in the room in this space. A lot of them. We need 10 hours to unpack, all the elephants in the room. It's this thing. Okay, so we know that these plans work. We just know. So people can troll all they want in the comments. They can do, I don't care what they do because I know. I see it. I don't need to do a study on all these people. I see it every day. We know this works. Unfortunately, because of the corruption of our current healthcare system and the way it is, many people they can do the basics, but then they don't get to have these strategies. They don't get to have coaches like we are, right? In spine surgery, if somebody has a spine problem, they need the back surgery, they can see me and they can be completely destitute, right? It doesn't matter because we're going to take care of them. In this space, the people that really want to take it, to the next level, want to slow down their aging, want to look great, want to feel good in every, category of their lives, if they want to hire a physician to manage their lives and put them on all these, things we do and all the biohacks, and there's just great stuff out here for them, the pushback, the elephant in the room is that there's a lot of people that are upset, and it's not just the medical community. So doctors are upset at doctors that have these cash pay practices. Let's be honest, they're upset.
It's jealousy.
And I mean, might just be like a hater thing, but this funny thing is, you can rent a room too and start seeing patients and do this stuff too.
Anybody can do this thing.
You could do it, but it's also a lot of stuff. So when I post things about hey, this ozone therapy or with this stuff or there's these stem cell treatments that you can prevent having a total knee replacement. There's all this great stuff. Some in the comments they're like, I'd love to do that, but I'm stuck and I have to do these other things. So how do we address this in a way that people understand? I mean, how I address it, I say, well, what do you want me to do? Say, okay, only a certain amount of people can afford. So I'm not going to do it because I'm going to withhold the care from them too. Like, I don't know. It's like we can only do what we can do. We're given the tools. If insurance covered all this stuff, sure. Then first of all, our clinic, I would have like a years waiting list.
Yeah, for sure.
Years.
Everybody wants to do it.
Right? Like people, like a lot of people want to do this stuff. So how do you address this elephant in the room? Like, what do we do about this stuff? When it comes to
physicians who want to get in this, again, my brother, he is the smartest physician I have ever met. In my entire, he's
a brilliant. Your brother's a brilliant. You told me all about it.
My brain works in a very. I love the way my brain works in a certain way. His brain works in a similar accelerated way, but just like straight up like urology, reconstructive surgery. I mean, he was born. He was born to be Captain Dick, is what I call him.
That's absolutely. By the way, of every specialty in healthcare, urologists by a mile are the funniest. No one's close.
You gotta take the piss of yourself.
Even close. If my urology buddies come one more time and show me some crazy operation, they're like, "Hey, take a look at this." I'm like, "Good Lord, I can't unsee it." I'm like, I'm going into. I got 6 cases left, and now all I can see is just like whatever
double penis.
Like whatever you just showed me. Like, never show that to me again. Okay, that's not the kind of doctor I am. I don't do that.
They're funny bunch.
They're very funny guys. But anyway,
we growing up and like he saw what I started to do, and he didn't take it seriously. He's just like, what are you doing? And this is back in 2010, before wellness was even a thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, no, I like this thing. I worked on my dad, I worked on my mom. Everything's going good. I maintain the shape that I do. And finally, now that he's starting to kind of see how it went, it took maybe 5 years for him to get out of that traditional, I need research, I need this. No, you're going to kill people. Blah. I haven't killed anybody yet, which is a good thing. And
that's positive. That's in the positive.
It's in the positive aspect of it. But now he's starting to see a little bit more. His wife came in. They're both like kind of starting programs with me. But now when RFK came out and took that black box warning off of female hormones not causing cancer, this and the other. His entire thing is now that they would open a wellness industry and then UPMC and this kind of, which I think is fascinating. But you see how like that kind of dictates for the physicians.
1,000,000%.
It's who's paying the CEOs of big pharma. If they say this is okay, everybody goes. You know what I mean? But if they don't, it's like, oh, it's like having golden handcuffs on. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do this, but I'm too scared. I'm making X amount of dollars here. If I jump off that bandwagon, I'm getting paid here and try to do something on my own, which this industry is like, oh, maybe this, that, or that, but now it's too big to fail, like I said. So I see a lot of physicians have the fear of kind of fully embracing it.
Yes.
That's number one. And number two is you have to take yourself seriously first. I mean, like if you want to get in this industry, look like you should be in it. How many physicians just, oh, I'm gonna get into anti-aging? Like you look like a foot, dude. Like, I mean, work on yourself. Work on yourself first. I mean, you can't let people take seriously.
I give you another one. Okay, this really bothers me.
Okay,
you
good.
just bring
I
up
like
my
this.
physicians. I was trying to stay off of my physician. I love docs. You know, I'm starting a whole like mastermind thing just for for stuff. I think I mentioned it to you previously, but so I talk to a lot of physician colleagues. They're not coming to me. They're not even though a lot of them have become my patients eventually, but colleagues, and they're clearly unwell. They're not well.
It's a hard
I see them.
business.
I see the way they're walking. I see the way they look. I see what their skin looks like. I see what their waistline, all this stuff. So I'm not picking on them, but I go to them and I start saying, you know what? I do this integrative health stuff. You should look at these things. I'm not saying you have to come see me as a doctor. I'm just saying that here's the things. This is what I've been working on for 3 years. This is what I do. Here's my regimen and whatever. And half of them are like, yeah, I'll think about it. And half of them like completely blow. That stuff. None of that does nothing. That does nothing. So I just what I want to ask them is, I was like, look at what's going on with you, and then and again, I don't want to use myself as a thing. You brought it up, and I was like, I'm doing pretty good, and I'm doing all this stuff myself. So aren't you curious about what other people are doing, right? Because it's like if I was a young like if I was in med school and I saw a guy that looks like you and you're a doctor, I'm going to pick I'm like, what are you doing? I want to know every single thing you're doing. It's almost like they don't even want to know. These are our colleagues. Right? And so some of them are so far away from going down that other path. It's like, it's weird, light years. It's the chasm is like, it's real. It's like crossing the Red Sea, or maybe the Reed Sea, because it was actually probably the Reed Sea. That's a whole other thing. That's all my biblical studies that I had to do I'm a scholar. I'm a scholar of the Bible. I just did so many things with that stuff going to, Catholic school my whole life. Anyway, like they're so far away. Like, does that bother, like, do you ever get pushed? I mean, again, you're in a different, you're not in those doctors' lounges. I swear, sometimes I try to help people. I'm like, bro.
Don't say something who doesn't be safe.
I'm just like, are you good? Yeah. Like, and I asked them, I'm like, are you okay? And they're like, no, I feel terrible. I have this and that. You start talking to doctors, they're like, oh yeah, I was just admitted for this thing, and I had a UTI, and I had this, and I had the other thing. I was like, well, what's your lifestyle? What do you do? And you're hearing it, and it's mortifying. And then you try to tell them, you bring the horse to water, and they're just like, that doesn't do, I looked it up, that doesn't do anything. Because there's not there's not these like big randomized, controlled stuff. I was like, well, who's going to fund that?
That's my point to every one of them.
Who exactly is, like, seriously, who do people have any understanding?
Medical schools, everything is funded by big pharma's a gangster. What can I say?
They
don't
fund
the game,
50. So isn't like 50% of like the FDA's like budget
48%?
Yeah, it's right.
It's right. It's literally like Al Capone funding the Chicago Police Department. That's how crazy it is. And then you have the revolving door policy of HHS, where
he was funding the
Chicago
Police. That's not a theoretical.
Again,
he was
it's a
funding.
Perfect correlation to it. You know what I mean? Then you have the whole revolving door policy, where all the government officials then all of a sudden happily end up in gigantic paying jobs for Pfizer and AstraZeneca and all these other places, which is
and you know what's funny? Right in plain sight.
Right in plain sight, nobody cares. Oh, but it's medicine. Patients have to remember,
out in plain sight.
Medicine is a business. Your doctor is not there. He's not going to work for free. If you aren't paying him or he's not getting paid, he's not going to help you. Unless you're Patch Adams. I mean, at the end of the day, you can do a lot of free pro bono stuff. You still need to get paid.
What a sad ending to that movie. Man, you made me sad.
Movie,
right? It's a great movie, but really, right in the middle, we're vibing on the pot. You're gonna bring up Patch Adams of all movies you could bring up.
Patch Adams. My practice is Patch Adams. You walk in there, my office is probably just about as big as this right here. It's literally a picture of me, gorillas, sperm whales, jumping off cliffs, this, that, and the other. Because
guys, this is real stuff. I've seen it. I've seen the thing. If you want him to take out his phone, it's
pretty nuts.
You got some crazy, stuff. On the
proof of life. You know what I mean?
It's
like I said,
the one life that we know of.
Exactly.
The one life that we know of
is the most important part of it, because the experience of life is what makes us human. If we want to sit there and just get that whole robotic process of going back, you're a machine. You might as well just plug yourself into the computer right now and be Wall-E. back, I did circle back to Wally here.
Wally,
Thank you.
no, that's good. I mean, as a podcaster yourself, the circle back.
It's all about the circle
people
back,
love it.
man.
It's literally
that may be
it's
on the spectrum.
one of the best movies ever. I mean, it's
a preview of coming attractions.
it's the laziness of the human population where they can't even choose their clothes change by pushing the button. They're like they'll watch a commercial, red is the new blue, ooh, okay, and then they're all of a sudden change. And
it shows how feeble the mind is.
I love it when they have to come out of the things for the first time. They can't even walk anymore. They can't even walk anymore. It is such a good movie to show how we are. It's the loss of sovereignty. And that, it's a complete loss of sovereignty, and our humanity. I mean, I have so many things to talk about, on that. We can go down all kinds of roads on humanity because I think our loss of humanity going into the age of AI is the number one thing that we have to look at. And I think looking at going back to some things and doing it in an analog way is going to be the hottest commodity of the future.
It is. Made by humans.
Everything made by humans. Watching podcasts like this, where it's not because you know what, we can make this podcast without us even being here. 100%. We could just use AIs.
I do it on my AI thing. It creates two voices from whatever I say. It looks like somebody's
of course.
It's insane.
But I don't like that. I do not like that because it doesn't matter. Because then, you could just push a button and create 10 years of content in 2 seconds. Exactly. What's the value that takes out our spirit? Who we are as people. And you're absolutely right. Having goals. Having your lists of the 10 things in your different categories. Certainly the people in Wally, there were no lists going on there. They were just going around. They had their big gulpies. Yeah. They were slurping this thing up. They're huge. They got their seatbelts on.
They're just existing, not living.
It is just absolutely insane. But they broke out of it, so that was a good thing. They started saying, and
it's unique.
We need Wally Part 2. See where they went. Did it all happen again?
See where it went.
Did it all happen again? If I was them, I was like, we're going analog. Get rid of all these things. Drop us off on a planet.
I would love to get there's a book called Homo Deus. Have you heard Homo Deus?
Of course.
Point on that one is Cro-Magnon man split into Homo sapiens and Neanderthal. They tolerated each other for a bit, and Cro-Magnon man was like, screw you. Done. We're done with that. The argument was that we're at that reflection point. You know what I mean? Socialism, this, that, and the other. How long are we going to sustain people who do not want to be saved? Physicians who do not want to adapt. You have the people who are coming out now who are getting healthier, they're living longer, they're doing better. Then there's people who are going the exact opposite of the spectrum. Oh, just give me, the whole Coca-Cola, Doritos, this, that, and the other every day. I don't care.
You mean that's not a good diet? Coca-Cola and Doritos every day?
If you want to have fun, go for it.
Go for it. Well, fun for a couple days, maybe. For a couple days.
And then your digestive system correct. But the aspect is, I think that's where we're coming to. Not only a reflection point in the human species versus Homo Deus versus Homo sapien, which was the whole play on that one, but also with medicine and AI and things like that, to where physicians are going to grab and say, listen, lifestyle medicine now, you can't pull that away. People are now waking up to it. I have some patients who are so educated now coming in like, well, what about this, this, and this?
I got patients coming in. They come in with lists,
which is good and bad, but it keeps me on my toes. If you take that into one of these chop shops around Miami now or anywhere, and be like, "What is this?" Doctor will be like, or probably not even a doctor, probably a nurse practitioner or a nurse or whatever, because there's just popping clinics up left and right. They'll be like, mitochondria. What are you talking about? But we have NAD. They have no clue how.
Or vitamin D. What does that do?
Yeah, exactly. It's just it should be called hormone D. That's how special that is. But vitamin D is nothing.
It's one of the most important hormones.
But nobody pays attention to it. I have one of my pharmacies I get stuff for stopped producing my injectable vitamin D because there's such a low demand for it. I'm like,
really?
What? I go through gallons of that stuff because everybody has an absorption problem, or they don't get in the sun anymore because they're too busy being Wally and sun.
Yeah, intramuscular vitamin D in our clinic is almost everyone needs to get it.
Nobody's ordering anymore. I was like, what are physicians ordering then? Oh, they're ordering all peptides. I'm like, peptides that aren't going to work because your vitamin D levels are off.
You gotta
criminal it is for your vitamin D levels to be up for BPC, thymosin, beta, alpha.
Everything.
That's
I have the vitamin D conversation with every single person.
That's the ignorance of the new wellness longevity physician. Is they think the high level stuff is all that matters. It's not. It's the basic stuff that's not fun, which is what's going to make.
You have to build. You have to build that foundation, and it absolutely is layers.
The outside of the onion is nothing without the inside of the onion.
But man, if you have people love. I mean, the onion analogy is great. But I think that the more people can start fixing the bases, the lifestyle, then we add these other things on. The transformations are incredible. It's literally I sit down, just with friends like physicians, and they're talking, and eventually they're like, hey, what do I need to do? And I say, I'll just give them the basics, but I say, if you come in, you just come in with your list of what your goals are, what you're trying to do, what areas we really want to focus on, and we can do amazing things. And I was like, I don't say that because I'm trying to sell you, and I don't care. You can come or not come. It doesn't matter. You do whichever you want to do. But if you really want to make changes, the changes, and again, I've done it with myself, right? I was lab experiment number one. Best example, and I did it. I know you clearly, you got like stuff, you got tattoos. Yeah, but you got tattoos of like oxytocin and stuff like that. Like, you got all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna go down the tattoo, route, but I'm really excited. I'm really
excited. Tattoo will be your 18th tattoo. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We'll see where we go with that. All right, let's shift gears, a little bit because this is a really important topic. So, women's health and men's health. Let's start with the women.
Okay. Ladies first.
Women have it's interesting because they have a lot of issues. So we can talk about just general hormonal issues with women, and we know the whole thing about the studies around 2000 and how it just was awful. Right, to keep them away from hormone replacements and stuff. Now it's debunked, right? There's so many doctors out there being like, I knew this the whole time. I was like, well, you didn't say anything. Because it just keeps going around, and so now you're
just as worse as them.
Now, yeah. So you're absolutely right.
Not an excuse.
There is not an excuse. Somebody asked me recently, like, why are people don't speak up? I was like, why do I speak up? I said, well, I have to. Once I see it, and I'm an insider, I'm going to speak up and say this is all. I took an oath. I'm going to speak. But people, that docs don't think like that. They do not think like that. You speak when you're spoken to. You stay within your lane. You do your thing. Because God forbid, somebody criticizes, like what you say. I was like, well, try being an entrepreneur. Yeah. You're gonna get criticized for everything. So good luck. So I wouldn't. If you're too afraid to call out the system, then I wouldn't even try to open a business or do anything. Then you exactly. Bingo. That's the lesson. You are the system. So just general hormone stuff. We talk about that just a little bit. I think people are more educated on that. They can find a lot of stuff online. But one of the big ones is like women's sexual health. Mm-hmm. This is a big topic, and it's interesting because I never thought I was going to be counseling people on these things. Never. And when I say never, I mean this is with a capital N. Never. But even early in and I think I shared this, when I came on your show, is like even early on in my career, because of just kind of my personality, people feel real comfortable. Yeah. So people have been telling me like really uncomfortable stuff from like when I started, and I'm like, whoa, like I'm not like, even couples would be in there. They're telling me all this stuff,
my God,
and I'm like, what is going? I'm like, I'm a spine surgeon. Like, why are we talking about this? Exactly. No, but I'm just saying like just porn because they know because I'm talking to them. I'm all like casual, just relaxing, and I just say this will help you with whatever you need to be helped with. And then they're telling me this like wild stuff, and I'm like, whoa. In the beginning, like I said, I would turn red. I'd be uncomfortable. Even when I started going down the integrative health path. Yep. And people knew that. So people knew that we were opening this clinic, but I had like nurse practitioners there that were experts specifically in like women's hormones and sexual health and stuff like that. And that's what we have now. But they knew this. So they would surround me. I would go to like the soccer games, and they're like, "Oh, you're the Integrative Health Clinic."
He's here.
And then they would like surround me. No, seriously, there was this one event at this high school. I just went there, and like one of the moms was like, "Oh, hey, I heard you do this, that, and that, the other thing at your clinic." And all these moms surrounded me, and they start asking me all these questions, and I was probably bright red, because they're like, no holds barred.
Oh no, trust me.
They just this is my problem. Do something about it. I was like, whoa. I was like, no, the nurse practitioner, then obviously then I that was early on. Obviously I had to become more of an expert in that stuff. Not quite where you are yet, but working with like just talking to people like and picking your brain about it.
It gets easier
but
every once.
I did not realize how abandoned they had felt by the system. They're like, no one's helping me with it. They're like, they're going to their OBGYNs
Since
telling
the
them,
dawn of time,
they're telling them like, things aren't working. Yeah. Stuff's dry. It's not the same anymore. I have no interest in my husband, and blah, 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 and on and on and on. And I'm giving the PG version and a lot more stuff, right? And so, like, I did not realize that is a topic that if you start talking about it, like from everywhere, people just come in. And people say, oh, whatever. It's humanity. Sexuality is part of...
The reason orgasm feels good. You're supposed to have them. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you're absolutely. I mean, there's different ways.
Oxytocin, number one important part of it.
Some would say it's for procreation. It's got to feel good because otherwise the species wouldn't procreate. If it didn't feel good,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
There would be nothing. We would dwindle out. We would just dwindle out, which would be good for resources, but that's a whole other discussion we can have. There's two sides of that. So anyway, can you touch very briefly on like just any thoughts you have on like women's hormones and how much they've been screwed?
Sure.
But then I do want to talk about like women's sexual health and what strategies like you employ, and of course the great stories about your famous lecture and other. Of course, like he forgot. Like, oh yeah, that one. The standing room only lecture. Yeah. So let's talk about hormones in general.
Again, I think you're 100% right. So I think the real pivot or the point that women's sexual health became to the forefront was, crazy enough, when E.L. James produced 50 Shades of Grey. Now as more women sexualizing men and whatnot became more acceptable, because instead of there with a picture of Fabio, you got an apple thing. So you can be reading smut in the middle of the subway and nobody knows, So now all of a sudden women started to get more...
Or the nurse's station.
In between
patients. At the nurse's station.
But no, it was unique. So women started to kind of, men have had Playboy and Hustler, and it's been since we've been, Cro-Magnon men, we've been, men have been the forefront of sexual health. So now women started to actually take control of it. And, in 2012, I'd come out, and it was funny, I have 3 erotic novels on the market, which is kind of funny. I did that for a reason, because what it was me coming out as a longevity, fitness, whatever it was, physician in 2010. Sexual health is the most important part of health, I would believe. I would say total. I would say that's more important than anything for anybody is sexual health.
I think there's a lot. I mean, there's certainly there's a lot of demand. And now again, so for those that are going to say, whoa, yes, there are a lot of people that are sick. The last thing we need to worry about is their sexual health. I'm just trying to keep people like living for 5 years.
For sure.
But yes, after that, that is
aspect.
one of the absolute most demanded things. And I swear I wasn't aware.
Massive.
Women
are
more
more focused on it than men.
Yeah,
they really are, because there's such a problem, because women haven't had access to the different types of hormones or just the ability to sit there and talk to a physician. Come in and talk to me, especially I started this when I was 26, hair down to my tits, like looking like that. And they're just like...
Looking like Fabio.
Are you a doctor? I'm like, I promise you, I graduate, blah, blah, blah.
You got some gray hairs now. You can play the part better.
Exactly.
Now you can play the part better.
I got that salt and pepper going.
There you go.
But no, it's funny because you sit there and see now all of a sudden, like, I'm replacing more testosterone in women than I am in men. And people don't understand that men go through andropause, which is the slow decrease of testosterone.
And by the way, much more common than it was in the past because of our lifestyle. Dad genes. There's a whole craze. We should start just a gene company for dads, and we make a lot of money. Dad bod, gene company, some special things.
Easy,
you carve in the love handles in and stuff. And again, we're saying you can take care of this stuff. There's ways to do it. But go ahead. Let's get back to the women. Now we went to dads. People are like, we want to know about the women. No, nobody cares about the men. Talk about the women.
But the funny thing is, women go through the exact same thing, and that's why you start to get through like perimenopause and menopause years. There's that pear shape that starts to take because their androgens have gone down.
Correct.
And all of a sudden the estrogen takes over, and estrogen propagates fat in the midsection. It's one of those situations. So you can sit there and see like a woman who doesn't feel pretty about herself, she doesn't feel safe. If you're not safe, sex is the last thing on your mind. Okay, so you need to be confident in yourself and confident in whoever you're having sex with, which is one of the biggest things. Men are easy, point, click, and shoot. That's why one ejaculation can impregnate all of Miami Beach. You know what I mean? Like, women get 1 egg per month, and that egg's going to last them for 18 years. So they're very selective about it. So when it comes to a woman's mentality of sex, it's just like, who's the best option for me if I do get pregnant? There's some women who are scandalous and whatnot, whatever it could be, but women start to focus on that much more, which is kind of unique. So when they come in, we found things like adrenal fatigue, cortisol is bottom out, DHA is low, thyroid is off, their testosterone's in the shitter, their estrogen and progesterone are off, which causes the vaginal dryness and everything like that. You start to replace that in a woman. That's one of the most important things for them. It gives them that sense of vibrance back. You know what I mean? Like, which is so important. That oomph factor is kind of what I call it.
They're also, it improves their confidence, but it also makes the act possible.
Exactly.
Because some of them, it's actually they're like, I can't. It's too much. I literally can't do it.
Doctors never take that seriously. It's like, oh, that's just a sexual problem. You deal with it on your own. Now it's just like women are coming in looking for that.
Yes.
Which is the amount of people are coming because I have you ever seen Nip Tuck? Tell me what you don't like about yourself. I have tell me the top 3 things you want to change.
That's literally our form.
Is it
the first thing on our form? Top 3 things that you want to change.
Most important thing you do.
That's
Doctors never ask that.
3 things. That's it.
They come in and always within that now is I'm finding libido or sexual health, and normally you would never see that. It's just like hair, skin, and nails, sleep, and stress.
And sometimes the people you're seeing it from, you're not expecting. You're like, Okay.
How old? 70?
Okay, exactly.
God bless,
100%.
let's go.
I'm
Yeah, I
telling
mean,
you, and
like-
I'm like, okay. That extra lipstick was
Very
for a
true.
reason, I guess.
Very
I don't
true.
know. But
And-
anyway.
and no, it's unique to sit there and see because they'll come in and then like once they start to like want it, and
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. You want to have a better libido. You came in, it's like, oh, my libido's off, and not care about it. You'd be like, no, I'm trying to get this better. Manifestation, a goal. That's what it is. Number one is is the person you're having sex with somebody you want to have sex with? Hard question to ask. You know what I mean? Like.
A lot of times they need our help too.
Yeah, exactly.
This
That's
is
the
a
thing, it's like,
this
it's
is a
two-way
twofer.
street.
This is a
It's
twofer.
two-way
So how
street.
many couples? I mean, right? We have couple, right? How many couples do we have?
that's the biggest
Because when
thing,
one
too.
becomes more interested, the other one becomes more interested. I mean, sometimes
I
it's
always
just
see that
it's
come
just a
in-
mismatch. Because when you have a mismatch, right? If you have the dude that like he's out of control,
Yeah, and the
and then the
woman's like,
woman's like, you ask her, and I hear this all the time. I was like, so tell me. We go through all the different categories. When we get to that, that category. Now that I don't turn red, I just say, hey, like, what about this category? And they're like, well, how do you describe like your sexual, like, what are your thoughts, like, what's your libido like? And they're asexual.
Yeah.
The word asexual is thrown around a lot by women. They literally say the word asexual. There's not many men that say they're asexual. There's not a lot of that going on.
Maybe, that's
No,
about-
yeah, but they don't say I'm like they don't make the jokes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asexual, like as in like not
And
even
when they make
any
that joke, that's
concern.
them crying out that they don't
Correct.
want to be it. You know what I mean?
100%,
Like,
100%,
Like,
yeah,
oh, it's okay.
yeah.
Is usually the person doesn't really care about it. So then you sit there, and again, it's crazy to sit there thinking like the whole famous lecture thing. I'll kind of pivot into that one now. Again, men are easy. One type of orgasm. Point, click, shoot, right? Women have
Point,
so many different
click, shoot.
Point, click, shoot.
You say
know
that
what I mean?
again.
Like,
Say that again for the guys in the back.
Point, click, shoot, folks.
It's that easy.
But for women, it's not. It's like Chinese, arithmetic, for God's sakes, because there's so many different ways a woman can orgasm, and there's so many ways a woman can orgasm. That's the problem. Once a woman understands the different parts of her anatomy, which is really unique, and again, I went out and got credentialed was the first male to get credentialed in sexual health, subsexually in female by the A4M, or
Which is
biggest place to do it,
it's
you know what I mean?
fascinating.
and it was
Yeah.
unique because I'm there as a 27-year-old doctor being like, bunch of women, like, okay.
And they're like, who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
I was like, I swear I'm doing this for like research.
Remember,
you know what I mean?
always
Like,
be in rooms you feel like you don't belong in.
Exactly.
That's how
Then
you
then
expand
do-
what you're doing. And
trust
look what
me.
it's done for
At
you,
first,
right?
I was just like,
You just,
know?
go in the room. Go in the
Yeah.
room. It's fine. It's
But
fine.
It's unique because you sit there and you start to understand
Yep.
the various aspects of of the actual anatomy, and everything comes back to the different types of nerves that actually innervate the actual
Yes.
vaginal area. So something like a clitoral orgasm, you know what I mean? That's a pudendal-somatic nerve. It's 8,000 little neurons on.
There's a lot of
aspect
nerve
of it,
endings in that
and
area.
it's short and quick and
Yeah,
strong.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
but it's usually centralized in the actual
yeah.
vaginal area. You know what I mean? Like where it is, you're like, oh, that's great. And a lot of people don't realize that the actual clitoris has legs. So there's the clitoris, which is the same thing as the glands of the penis, and it comes down and actually runs around the actual vaginal wall. So it actually, as a woman or as a man learning that, it's fun for a man to learn that too. I mean, like, there's a lot of good research you can do if you're a man doing that. But you sit there and learn the anatomy. So the clitoral orgasms are unique. You never start with the clitoris, you warm up to the clitoris, you know what I mean? So that's just unique. Like, once you understand how that nerve works, you understand it can fire numerous times. The whole refractory period on the clitoral orgasm
Yes.
is pretty quick, but you can also overstimulate it. So, I mean, it's like, again, there's a lot of different things that go into it. Then you have the actual G-spot orgasm, which is the periurethral area. It's like a little sponge, 2 inches in on the anterior wall. That basically, once you start to stimulate that area, this works for the pelvic nerves. So it's unique. It's more of a deep feeling feel. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just that.
Yep.
It's like, what was that? More like pressure building up. And that's where the G-spot orgasm can actually turn into the actual female ejaculation. What happens is that periurethral area has the actual urethra going through it, and there's 2 Skene's glands on it, which is basically the prostate for women. A lot of people understand that. You can check PSAs in women because of the actual
The Skene's glands. I mean, that's
Crazy,
back
right?
in the day. It's funny. They always used to be on our exams.
Oh,
The
really?
Skene- oh yeah. They used to be back in the
They're
day
super
in the
important,
exam.
I'm not gonna
They're-
lie.
They're important,
But
but
it's
not for
super
that
important.
reason. It was just like, what's the female
what is
for
this one?
what's the equivalent?
Exactly.
But anyway,
But it's unique because once you start to stimulate that area and that it actually gets engorged, it can actually clamp off the actual urethra, which causes a woman to sense that she might actually have to pee. That is true, and the whole squirting orgasm, which everybody it's always on a different kind of fun podcast, is actually a woman can squirt, and when you have that urge to pee, it just means it's been so engorged with that actual aspect that the Skene's glands are dumping fluid into it in the urine.
what fluid is in there? So that for people to know.
So basically, the Skene's glands actually produce the exact same thing the actual prostate does, which is kind of fantastic. There will be a little urine in there because there's going to be some of that. So I mean, it depends on how much she squirts or whatever it could be. But it's a situation where it's literally a female ejaculation, which is unique. And a lot of women who feel like they have to pee during sex, this is why. They're actually trying to just relax and let go, but they don't feel comfortable enough. They feel embarrassed about it or whatever it could be, and they don't let that just werewolf. You know what I mean? Like, and I tell women, orgasms own it. You know what I mean? Like, if you got to go, you go. You know what I mean? So that's for the second one, the whole G-spot orgasm, how it can turn into this whole beautiful squirting endeavor, which I would say maybe 5% of women have ever done that in their entire life, but everybody can, you know? So it's a situation where it's like, explore your sexuality. Then it goes into the actual deep orgasm, which is the one that's tied to the vagus nerve, which is why after you have this one, it's right above the actual cervix. So it's really, really deep in there. You can usually get it with, you know, either through the penis or through a toy, whatever it could be.
So it's a very
It's a tough one.
it's a very
It's a tough one.
parasympathetically mediated,
Bingo.
like just you know just
That's
kind of
what
a
it is.
burst, which is totally different.
You
You've
feel
got
the cry
yeah,
after
you
it.
have you have to just be, you have to just be almost like in a deep state of meditation.
Safety.
So you talk about crying, like some people get into these states of meditation, almost that obviously a lot more intense.
Yeah, no,
It's a very
100%.
different thing, but it's almost like amazing and relaxing at the same. Like
That's
it's
what
just
it is. It's cool because you're literally,
Yeah.
it's literally the vagus nerve, you know what I mean, which is crazy, and
Yeah.
that's why people will cry, people will laugh, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like they don't know how to control
Yeah.
it, and it's a full body
Yeah.
type aspect of it. So that's the third one. Fourth one's unique. It's kind of a combination of all of them. So it's kind of it's called the mega orgasm. So it's basically a neural whiteout. So what's going on? You're stimulating the clitoris, you're getting maybe the G spot, you're hitting the deep spot, and all of a sudden all these signals go to the
Yeah.
brain. It's just like it has no clue whether to shit or go blind. It's just like.
Yeah.
Release oxytocin,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just like your legs are shaking, you can't
Yeah.
move anywhere. That's kind of what's defined as a mega orgasm. It's just a neural whiteout of all these different neural stimulations from the pudendal, the pelvic nerves, and the vagus nerve, just flooding the
How do
brain.
they get synchronized? Because that sounds like synchronized
one.
swimming. That's everybody, you know, like
Pretty much
tiny
what it is. And
synchronized
again,
swimming team. Like
the
how we doing
biggest
this?
one, and again, I always try to
Yeah.
people 2 knuckles in on the anterior wall is usually the best way to get the actual G-spot orgasm. And then if you hold down on the actual clitoral aspect of it, you're going to stimulate both of those ones. To get the deep one in there, it's got to be deep penetration. You got to be riding. Usually that's why the woman's on top and she's really again. This is getting a little pornographic, but hey, man, wellness at the speed of light, right?
Wellness, we're getting well.
It's
The
a
women
lot
are
of
getting
light
well.
here. But the aspect is, the important thing is, it's important for a man to know what to do, but it's also important for the woman to know how she orgasms. One of the most important things, a woman has to know how to use her own instruments in a way. So I always tell women, like,
But self-exploration is huge.
gigantic to
You know,
understand
with
what
these,
we do.
it changes. It just change. You know, it changes everything. Again, this is stuff I didn't discuss with before, but now I'm happy to
but
have this
once you get into it,
conversation.
women are just like, I think I've had one of those. You know, when they sit
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
say, with their legs are
Yeah,
shaking, they
yeah.
know what's going on. You're like, I've had
Yeah.
one of those, you know, and they'll go back. I mean, clitoral orgasms have all the time. G-spots, if they don't do it, it's fine. When you have like a mega or a
Yeah,
deep
yeah.
orgasm, women will tell you the date, the time, the place, who it was with, and the cologne he was wearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy
Yeah.
that whole mega orgasm can be. So it's unique. And then there's one in here that's kind of debatable. It's called the fire breath orgasm, which I think is unique. It's an orgasm without touching. But when you look, I mean, usually people pitch this are like the yogis and all these kind of unique people. But when you look at the science of it, that's why you have to breathe a lot, like.
Yep.
That's you get yourself into it. You create a state of alkalosis. Okay, what happens to that? The calcium starts to decouple. So now everything's super sensitive now because calcium has a major reaction when it comes to nerve. So now your body is just like a. I mean, that's why women who do this, they feel like everything's
Yep.
tingly right now. You know what I mean? It's because you just made yourself so alkalotic. It's crazy. And then what happens is you do that, and then you have to do the actual Kegels. So that's the whole concept. So now you're super stimulated everywhere, and you just start
Yep.
doing Kegels, and all of a sudden your brain's like, oh, orgasm, go. And the unique thing about it is the first three I mentioned all have a prolactin response to it. Prolactin is what causes that refractory period. So you can't just have an orgasm for 20 minutes, unfortunately. But
That is
there's
quite unfortunate.
Exactly. Well, men, it's even worse. But
That's
for women,
quite.
you
It's
get that little one.
it's quite
Super
unfortunate.
So women
Well,
got it easier on that
theirs
aspect.
are a lot longer than men,
for
a
sure.
lot
Well,
longer.
'cause
But
again,
anyway,
it's
that's
the
a
whole
whole.
prolactin and the whole estrogen aspect of it, which is a whole other conversation.
The whole
But
other.
it's unique though. But the cool thing with the fire breath orgasm, since you don't have the aspect
Yeah.
of digital manipulation, prolactin
Yeah.
doesn't get released. So now you can have that orgasm five minutes. You know what I mean? It's not the crazy,
Yeah.
but it's still an orgasm, you know? So that's always a very unique one.
That's
you
a
know what I
very
mean?
unique.
Super unique one. Then the second two are micro orgasms. That's when a woman can be sitting in a certain way. And it's more of a kind of a mashup of a clitoral, potentially just overall sensation. She has to be in a very good spot, very good this. And it's more of a clitoral orgasm, but it's a micro one.
Like for example, if she's watching this podcast.
Exactly, pretty
So
much.
that will
I mean,
just
like,
happen. So
you're
just the
welcome,
microburst.
You're
Thank you.
welcome,
Thank you.
everyone,
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? And then you have nocturnal orgasms, which women can have. Usually happen during a very intense dream. And it's usually related with the sheets and kind of how they're sleeping or whatever like that. If you have a very intense dream during REM, there's a lot of stuff that goes during REM that helps kind of prime the body for a sexual orgasm. So if it's just like perfect storm, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen all the time. I wish it would happen all the time. It'd be great for men. But no, for that aspect. So those are kind of the 7 different types of orgasms.
It's fascinating.
Obviously, the first 4 are really want to focus on. There is the anal orgasm, which happens right between on the back end of the actual cervix. cervix, which again, you can do that either anally or with really deep sex from behind. There's a lot of back and forth on that one though, but I mean, again, if you've had it, you know it. You know what
Well,
I mean?
the whole thing with all this though is it's just an exploration and being careful because it's important to
go out and
people.
try it. Go out and
It's
figure it
freaking
out.
important. Like that's the whole thing. It's important to people. So sitting around like all of us, including myself, before turning red faced and just being like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. This is weird. Well, why is it weird? This is what people are
human
doing.
function, you know what I mean?
This is what people are doing, and there's a lot of people walking around, like just moping around because you can't do it. So as our time gets short here, unfortunately, like we get it. We're gonna have to do like a series. We got to do like we got to do a 10-part series, kind of last. And again, this is gonna leave people wanting a lot more after our discussion today. As far as what I love is your concoctions of peptides and just general things like for, just for sexual wellness. So what are your go-to kind of concoctions for men and women and the overlap? Let's just say somebody said, hey, I'm going on a romantic trip, with somebody. What should I bring with me?
First and foremost is something to relax you. So if you need a drink or two, that's great, whatever it could be, because you have to get out of your head.
Yep.
Second point, I love PT-141 and a unique system, because PT-141 works on the actual central nervous system, which is unique. It's great for both men and women. So if a woman has an issue getting into it, PT-141 is great.
You
for
put
that.
them on antiemetics beforehand, because some people get like the nausea.
We can put B6 into it as well. B6 kind of helps with that one, or some Zofran.
Just some Zofran, yeah, that's what we're doing.
But it's great though, because that'll last you for 3 days, 2 days, depending on who you are. So that's always great. I do like the aspects, and again, I think daily Cialis I think is great for both men and women. And again, it's
I think for
dose.
men, I think daily Cialis low dose, a lot outside of sexual health.
Look, that's what I'm saying.
A
It's like
lot outside.
Everybody has blood pressure issues this day and age.
A
So,
lot.
it's great for that. A lot of people realize Cialis and Viagra are actually cardiovascular medicine.
That's what they were doing. That's what it tests for. Like, what's going on with this guy? Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
but anyway,
exactly. So
it's
I like
different.
those too, and it's unique too, because the more engorgement you can get, clitoral engorgement, your clitoris is the exact same structure.
It's the same structure,
The
same
glands
thing.
of the penis
Right.
is the same thing as the
Yeah,
clitoral
yeah,
organ.
yeah.
I mean, so it will help a woman actually get more full when it comes, or I guess more engorged.
Yeah, engorged.
It's a great word, engorged.
Engorged.
For that one. So you can always use those ones as well. And then one of my favorite things to do is arginine. Arginine is one of the best things to get.
Arginine's amazing.
nitric oxide
Get all
up.
tingly.
Arginine, yeah, zinc and magnesium. Because again, people don't understand it's the rest and erect type state. Okay, it's not fight or flight. So everything's done through parasympathetics, which is you have to be relaxed. Even though the chase and the thrill of it is more sympathetic based, your body has to switch into parasympathetics to get you ready for sex, because everything is blood flow and getting the right
Point
stuff to go to the right area.
and
You
shoot.
know what I mean?
All we learned in med school. That's the one. That's the
Exactly.
entire sexual health
Point
class.
and
They just say
shoot.
point and shoot. Parasympathetic, sympathetic. Next class. We don't
You're
want to talk.
right.
We don't want to talk about
No,
this.
you're
Let's
100%
just
right,
move
you
on.
know?
Zero. This stuff that we just talked about.
Oh, you won't hear about that at all. Zero. Then you get into screen creams and all that kind of fun stuff.
Zero. The only time you made jokes about it is like when you learned how to do, like a prostate exam or all these other exams. Like people would just make that's the only time we even talked about this stuff. But we didn't talk about it in the classroom.
No.
Like I don't remember learning. Now maybe I missed a day or something. I don't know. Maybe
did miss a day.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you remember it.
The biggest thing for sexual health is actually oxytocin. I mean, the whole aspect of you not
The
understanding
hormone-
what's going on for 2 seconds, that's oxytocin.
The
just
hormone of
flooded.
love, man.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the
That's why we
hormone.
have lollipops, we have injectables, we have troches for you. So
Oxytocin
it increases the
is a
ability to actually
beautiful-
orgasm. So to close your point, the whole thing is there's a lot of different things that we can do, but you have to imagine if somebody's good with erections, is bad with ejaculation, give them some extra oxytocin or something like that. It's gonna help them.
There's
pop
just
that rock off,
I think bottom line is from everything we've talked about today is there are so many options for people to meet their goals.
Exactly.
This is what it is. It's like people are like, oh, there's nothing for that. There's nothing for that. I was like,
everything.
of course, if you're on all these medications, you're going to have erectile dysfunction. It just goes along with these things, but there are solutions for it. So listen, this is going to leave people wanting a lot more. Where do they find you? What's your preferred thing? Just tell them Instagram handle,
for sure.
your websites they should look at if they want to go to Bahrain,
Yeah,
Bahrain
exactly.
to
There
see
we
you.
go.
If Miami's just not fancy enough and you want to
again.
go into the Middle East.
Wherever you like to find me.
Wherever you wanna
you'll find me. Again, my handle is Dr. Rusilko for my personal, lifestyle medicine for Instagram and that one. My podcast is Lifestyle Medicine. It's powered by Access Medical. Rock and roll. Lab testing is the most important thing for everything we're talking about here. Pretty easy. That's on Spotify, YouTube, everything else too. So it's kind I mean, I'm a pretty easy guy to find.
Yeah, you're a pretty easy guy to find, and you've got a lot of, just great information. Patients love you. You've got some super celebrities in your world. We can't talk about that stuff. That's HIPAA. But yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, listen, it was great having you, on the show. I think that at some point we should do a show and really educate people on labs and how to take the labs and then go different directions, because how many people are being treated? They don't even know what they're being treated for. Right. And this is on the doctors, not on the patients, because they don't know what labs that they need. We need to know what labs they need. So on that note, thanks everyone for watching another episode of Wellness at the Speed of Light. Dr. Ivan is the man. Please follow him. He's got, incredible tips. He does really good videos educating people. He kind of downplayed his stuff. Yes, he has a lot of stuff with silverback gorillas and sharks and all kinds of stuff on his site, but he actually has a lot of educational videos like on stem cells and peptides and all kinds of other things. So please follow this man. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode and we didn't make you turn too red on this one. See you next time, guys.